So welcome everyone back to the vault. Working on getting everything up and running. We've got some really great stuff in store today, and I can't wait. I can't wait. We've had this awesome opportunity to work with another fellow creator and bring her on for an interview. And we haven't done an interview in ages. Ages. It's been all the way as far back as when we were on Mixer, about May, June. Oh my gosh. Mom knows best. Thank you so much for that beautiful biddy rain down on us. I appreciate it. Again, welcome everyone. We're going to kind of transition a little quickly into this. I just want to let everyone know we've got our guest here. We don't want to take all the time that we have to. So we're going to end up transitioning over for a beautiful interview. And I can't wait. You know, we've done so much to build up our experience in the past to do, interviews, and we've learned so much from, Psycho Plays and Taylor Takedown, Shadow Serpents, AOD Insane, tons of people, tons of creators that have done so incredibly much to benefit not only, the community, but people's lives and how they inspire individuals. And I have to say, all of our guests have done so much work to make dreams happen. But some of the stories that we hear are what teach us and what guide us. And it's with those experiences that I think that we truly grow. And it's one of the things that I wanted to do with interviews in the first place, is bring people on that can teach us and help us to understand, their story, their life, what got them to that position. Because I think it helps us to think about things and approach situations a little bit differently. And so I think you guys are going to enjoy this. It's going to be a great day here. But I hope you're excited. I know I'm excited. I know I'm super excited about this. Without further ado, we're going to bring on our beautiful and resident amazing shooter, Kay. Welcome.
Too nice, personally, but thank
you.
Too
nice. Too nice. So Kay, for anyone who doesn't know, Kay's a fantastic player when it comes to shooters. And I don't know if you've ever had the opportunity, but watching her play PUBG is some sort of amazing. So Kay, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name's Kay. I'm a trans streamer on Twitch. I've been streaming for a little over 4 years, but I took about a year off because work was going a little bit crazy at the time. So, yeah, I mean, I play a lot of shooters. Those are probably my bread and butter, but I mean, definitely a variety creator. So.
Right. Well, and you've got an array of catchphrases when you're talking about variety. I know that there's a lot of things, especially in your channel trailer that you showcased recently, which phenomenal work. I thought that was exceptional, especially looking at all those video files, you taking the time to put that all together and just turn it into, I would say, like a deep dive, or, kind of like a showcase of what you expect. And it did really well. Like, sometimes I watch a channel trailer and then what I end up getting is definitely different, but all the featurettes that you had were perfect. They're spot on.
I'm really happy I was really nervous about that. That was the first video that I ever worked on. So that was my learning video at the same time. So it was an affair.
Well, and I think it's interesting because, like as creators, we get so caught up into, like, hey, I've got to learn how to do this and learn how to do that. And so, being a tech specialist or having the kind of, I would say, adversity to be able to push past things and then learn new aspects of, video editing, of, photography, composition, technological coding and things like that. How can I implement this into my stream? I think it's a challenge. So do you feel like, you've been tested a lot in your adventure through the world of streaming? Like, how has that helped you to grow as an individual?
I think it's one of those that it just keeps. I think people need to continue learning, but I also think it's when you talk about learning, it's not just a oh, I'm gonna learn this, because you have to learn, in my opinion. And I think that it's also one of those skills that learning actually takes experience. And when I say that, I mean it's like you have to you have to practice it, or you're gonna start losing those little techniques that you have. So
Well, and I think that like we end up really, really challenged, and you see a lot of, I was definitely in the position, but you see a lot of kids that, they look at school as like, hey, what am I doing here? Like, I don't see the practical application, and I don't think high school is worth it. I don't think any of this school is worth it. Like, my life sucks. Like, I can't wait to get out of here. And, I personally look back on high school, at least on the learning side. Sometimes the social side's a little different story, but, you look back on the learning side and you're like, man, I wish I would have paid more attention. Man, I wish I would have, like, so do you feel like you have, any regrets to your learning career that you feel like may have been more influential in your streaming career?
I mean, regrets in my learning career is a little weird. So I was working full time by the time that I hit freshman year of high school. Had a full time job and a side job during the summer. So I didn't take high school very seriously. I honestly I didn't. I think I came out as like a 2.5 student. Went to community college. It was when I got to university because I went to Oklahoma State and. When I got there, that's when I buckled down, and that's when things started clicking for me on memorization techniques and actually how to learn things. And that was kind of like a social awakening for me too. So that's how I learned who I am, I guess.
So when you're talking about like a social awakening, what does that mean to you?
Oh, I was a military brat growing up,
Okay.
so it was a lot of moving around and not having that kind of one foundational spot. And then when you stop moving, you really don't know how to react to that a lot of the time, because you're like, well, I'm gonna know you for 6 months, and then I'm just gonna be going to the next thing. So when you realize you're not going to the next thing, you have to treat relationships a little bit differently. So.
Well, and in that aspect, relationships, especially in the military, the side, like your parents are career military. I would assume that was what you mean by being a military brat.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
for
My dad was
anyone
in the Navy. Yeah.
for anyone who might not be aware. But yeah, moving around a lot, those relationships end up a little bit more, unreliable or volatile. Like you don't know what's going to happen. You could be there for station longer, or you could whatever. So like everyone's kind of like at an arm's reach. You want to have a conversation, you want to get to know them, but at the same time you want to be distant enough that you feel like I can just drop all my strings and walk away, and it's not going to hurt me at all.
Yeah.
And I think that can be incredibly taxing on us. I know a lot of people who've been in the field. Their parents have been in the field of military, and it creates some really trying relationships. And I think that that's hard for us to overcome. But I think it affects us in a different way too. That we're a little bit more worldly. We see a lot of the viewpoints of individuals in a different light, and to look at the more direct approach of them instead of having the emotional attachment. Do you feel like that's affected your, I would say, like logical thought process at all?
At this point, probably not. I mean, there was a point in my life then, yeah, I would say that. But I think I've kind of moving into my career and streaming, and I think that I've moved past a lot of the weirdness that it created.
So, I mean, looking at the whole picture, then you started your, I would say your young adult life growing into distant relationships, and the social structure of how content creation works, how community works through streaming, is much more the opposite. You have to have really, really close relationships with a lot of the individuals that exist within your community, the members of your audience base, and know them. So how do you feel like that's helped you grow as a person in that transition?
I think it's one of those things that I didn't really handle before I started streaming. I didn't handle large group conversations well. And this makes me sound like I was like an antisocial person. I just not a big party person. I didn't like going out to like huge dinners. If there's like 10, 15 people there, that's just a lot for me. But now, I mean, that just feels normal at this point. Because you get used to managing all the little conversations and nuances that happen at something like that.
Well, and I know that you've talked about it at least with me, but looking at that and being in kind of like an antisocial category, you've also discussed that you have mixed music and started getting into that.
Mhm.
And so like how do you feel like that also affected that of being forced into highly social situations while you can still feel detached as like a DJ?
Huh. I was one of the weirdest DJs in the world because this is gonna come off as ego. It's really good at mixing. I can DJ. I can throw down a pretty good set and keep a club entertained.
Okay.
So I could get booked like crazy. But then, at the time, because I hadn't come out, I hadn't transitioned or anything like that. You'd have these girls and stuff come up, and they'd be like trying to hit on me, and I'm like, I'm just trying to play my music, and then I'm gonna go play Pokemon in the green room. I'm sorry, like I'm just trying to chill tonight. Because the thing is I would get done with classes. I was doing every semester that I was in uni, I was doing 18 hours. Um, it would do so I'd get done with that, and then I'd immediately take off to go to one of the clubs, 2 or 3 hours away, or hop on a plane and fly wherever it was that I was about to play. And then by the time that you get done with a set and traveling and everything else, and you're exhausted from school, and I've probably been doing homework if there was a plane involved, then at the end of the day, I'm like sitting, I was just like, I just kind of want to chill. I want to sip on something, and I want to have some. I just want to relax. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm done. It's been working for like 15 hours straight.
So do you feel like coming from the like military brat lifestyle, everything's all, direct and cut in line, and you've got to work, you've got to do this, you've got to have regiment to your life. Do you feel like getting into, DJing, spinning, that was a little bit of like hey, parents are kind of questioning your life choices and what are you doing with
now,
yourself and
so funny thing, my dad was not like super strict, and my parents split up when I was in my teens. So whenever that calmed down and everything like that, my dad is one of my favorite people in the world. He was definitely military, but he was definitely enlisted and not the like super strict like whatever. He likes to keep things clean, and that's about it. When I told him I was thinking about starting DJing, it was going to be freshman year of college is when I was starting to look into getting my own gear. He took me to Guitar Center and was like, "What do you want?" Like from the get go, he's one of the most supportive people in my life. And I'm really grateful for that. So it was never that. It was genuinely because I loved music and I loved doing that. So
well, and I think it's really great to have, supportive family, and especially when you're talking about, some of our thank you. Some of our things that we have to deal with, some of the things that we have to go through. I know in talking with, one of our other friends, Migos Moo, she's also a member of the trans community, and that whole process was very, very emotionally taxing on her, very trying on her. So do you feel like you had adequate support from your parents in the process?
oh gosh, that one's a story. So the first parent that I told was my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And she did not take it well. And keep in mind, my dad, to give some context into the way my parents are, my dad is Southern Baptist, born and raised Oklahoma. I mean, you're talking, you fear or you don't, and my mom was not at all. But my mom, when I came out, just immediately she was like, what are people gonna think? Like, what are you gonna do? Your life's gonna go to shit. Because at that time I was working, for an energy company, and I was in IT. I was pretty high up in the org, and my career was going well. She's like, you're gonna lose everything, which obviously I didn't. But that relationship strained for like a year, and I was terrified to tell my dad for probably that entire year. And then finally one day I told him, no hesitation to accept it. It was instant. He was just like, is that why you've been so distant? He was like, I'm gonna love you no matter who you are or what you are. Like he from the get-go was super cool about it and supportive, and he even started learning. I mean, you're talking about someone who hated the internet, but at the same time he was going on and diving into like different resources that he could find online just to be more supportive and help. So my
That's
dad
phenomenal.
is, I mean, it was crazy because I thought my dad would never talk to me again, just because, I mean, he was heavily religious, and he
Right.
still is. But no, he was just like, that's between, he was like, sin is sin, and none of us are immune from it. He was like, that doesn't bother me. And he was just like, I just want you to be happy. So, yeah, yeah, I love my dad.
It's
He's
it's a phenomenal place to be. I know the level of acceptance. You hear both ends of the spectrum.
mhm,
Absolute train wrecks to, a story like that where
mhm,
you feel like you can dive in and still feel loved and supported no matter what, which is it's a
mhm,
great feeling. And do
mhm.
you feel like that's helped you at all in handling some of the, I would say, a little bit more spectrum ends of people approaching you within your community, like what they've had to deal with, or what they've gone through with their own individual stories?
Yeah, I'd say kind of. It's weird because, like, I've had some family that just didn't handle it well, and still aren't handling it well. And I think that I, I've always been someone that can take things in stride.
Hmm.
Um, I'm a very forgiving person. I'm very relaxed with most conversations. If someone's mean to me, I'm like, okay, cool, sorry. And then I kind of just dip for a bit, and then 6 months later, we're probably friends. Um, so I take that same attitude, and I think most people, and I try and encourage people to not forgive immediately. I don't say, they didn't do anything wrong, but I do say give it time. A
Right.
lot of the times, and that's what people need. Um, Realistically, I think a lot of people, and they shouldn't. Don't get me wrong. It's not right that, um, in my eyes, that you can't just accept someone for who they are. However, um, if they don't, I'm willing to bet if you give it 6 months to a year, you just kind of step away and reevaluate. Most people start to come around. People will shock you. That's the one thing that my life has taught me is people continue to shock you every single time. So, and that's in good and bad ways. So I think it's most of the time just my experiences as a whole, not just with being trans, but just going through all the little conflicts in life that, sometimes you just gotta let time take its toll or take its course and go from there.
Well, and I would agree with that. I've always been the proponent for saying, like, take a step back and look at the whole
Mhm,
situation to try and figure out, what's the course of action here? What are all the outcomes? Like, how can I look
mhm,
at this and then learn from the experience? And I think when we're talking about that, there's a lot of things that I've definitely learned from the experience. I mean, I grew up in a suburban area, and we didn't have a whole lot of exposure to anyone from the trans community or
mhm,
gay by anything. It was
mhm,
just that was the way. And so this has been a huge learning experience, being especially involved in the streaming community, and
mhm,
seeing a lot more of the aspects of the world, and then
mhm.
starting to understand and educate myself, and then look at, hey, well, like, how can I support? What can I do? What do people go through? Like, what
Mhm.
happens? Because I've never seen it, or if
Yeah.
if I had, you didn't hear about it.
Mhm,
Everyone kept it quiet, or whatever. But it's the same problem. And I feel like the Twitch world, or the internet, the entertainment, social media have opened a lot of doors to be able to allow individuals to see the full spectrum of people's emotions, their identity, and educate themselves to understand and be more interpretive of those instances. And I'm starting to wonder, like, do you feel like, you see on the counterpoint a lot of other people who will be really, really negative about situations. They'll still approach things with a really dark light,
mhm.
be just crude. And so, like, what do you feel like something like Twitch has done and will continue to do or expand on in the future of individuals trying to explore that and trying to understand who more they are?
I think I think Twitch just gives people a platform. And at first it doesn't really help them much because there's always those nerves and stuff like that. And I might be completely off base with the direction that I'm taking this. So let me know if it's not the question you were asking. But once people get comfortable, they're like, wait, maybe I can just be myself. And maybe I can just start to relax. And when then they start to let that out, I mean, they expose this thing to other people, and then and first of all, it helps them get comfortable being who they want to be or who they are, which there is a learning because you've got to unlearn all the masks that you put on, um, in the process of anything that's against the grain, and then after that, other people, it just becomes the norm for others as well because they see it every day. So I think that's where Twitch can help a lot. And I mean, you're talking about like I'm same boat. I really the first actual like the first gay person that I ever met was probably when I was like 16, 17, or was
Right.
exposed to for the most part. Um, at least in terms of like every single day. I knew I was bi at that age and stuff like that. And I knew others were too, but most people around here were, I mean, you're talking deep in the closet. But that's just Oklahoma. It's a very not super friendly place for the queer community. And it definitely wasn't back when I was in high school. So it was it was weird that it took that long for me to get exposure, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think that there's some regional aspects that can change what you're exposed to and how likely you are to interact with um, a, a, a lot of different things, just from gender preference to sexuality to, I mean, you get more racism a lot of times, even out in rural areas, and so there's a lot of things that I feel like that the Midwest areas,
Mm-hmm.
it's all the cut and narrow straight off the straight down the path, and you're just it's almost like the blinders are on. You don't really know what's happening, and then you go somewhere or start to see the internet or anything like that, and all of a sudden everything starts to fall off,
Mm-hmm.
and you're now exposed to a bunch of different thoughts, a bunch of different processes, and you,
Mm-hmm.
you have to expand on that. Like, you have to expand on it individually, personally. So what do you feel like one of the most defining features of being part of the Twitch community and growing as a creator has really done for you as an individual?
I think it's made me less of a toxic person. Honestly, I do, because for a long time, I saw the worst sides of humans for quite a while, um,
And
and
just to ask, like, in what category do you feel like you saw that most?
just how hateful people can be.
Okay, okay.
I mean, realistically, I mean, I watched friend after friend get kicked out of their house just because they were gay. After starting to come into myself. And it was just like one of those. I went into it and I'm like, well, when I come out, just everyone's going to hate me. It's fine. It's whatever. And I had a very negative attitude about a lot of things. Um, and then I realized through streaming and stuff like that, most people are actually pretty nice. And I mean, even if someone comes in trolling, 9 times out of 10, you can pop in and just say something I'll be like, well, hey, take a step back. Maybe reevaluate. I'm a nice person. Try coming back in like 10 minutes, okay? And then you try and time them out or whatever. And sometimes it works. It's rare, but I mean, I think it's one of those things that it's helped me see the positive side of people. So
Well, and Ryan and I had a conversation. We had a person run in the other day, and they were talking about how chemical imbalances don't exist, and that individuals are they're just crazy, and we all make it up, and that the doctors who say that chemical imbalances don't exist, or sorry, that they do, and they give them medication, are also just as crazy, that we're all wired to be insane. And it brought up the attention that, like, a lot of people were very upset by that situation, right? Very upset by that situation. And I just told them, like, all right, like, look, let's talk about this, because I think that there might be a lack of education here, and it might be something worth talking about. But I think it's good, because I think more individuals have started to look at the situation as, how can we grow people? How can we continue to grow people? And it's definitely helped me in that regard. Instead of being completely standoffish, I try and go right to the point of, okay, well, maybe this person just doesn't know. Maybe they've never been exposed to this in their entire life, and this is what they've been taught to believe the entire way, their whole existence. And it's not their fault. You only learn what you've been taught. And so I feel like, Twitch has done a lot for that, but I feel like it's also doing the reverse. That, some of the standoffish behavior, some of the, no, I won't back down from, what I believe in, have created just as many issues. So do you feel like we're starting to see less of that on the platform of Twitch as a whole? Do you feel like we're, slowly transitioning into a world of more open and honest understanding about, who people are, what their needs are, versus, I have my ways and I'm set to it?
um Honestly, I think that there's probably a little bit of both there. Because I have to be honest, you see some of the communities that are expanding, and you talk about like certain pipelines and stuff like that. And um, I think that you can look at it in that way. I mean, there's a lot of various paths that people can take down Twitch, and I think most people are going to choose more open paths. Um, but I also think that there's a group of people that are going to take more closed paths because it doesn't just provide a platform for openness. It also it provides a path for anyone who wants it, as long as they stay within TOS.
Right.
So, and keep in mind, TOS is very, very broad. So, it can go in any direction. And people are very much in charge of what direction they want to take that. So,
So, one of the other things that thinking about that is, the community is what defines a lot of, the individuals of a community are a lot of what define the community itself. And I think the beauty is in growing up, sometimes we might not be exposed to stuff, but then, in the process of understanding ourselves, we're choosing our own family. And going back to kind of what we were talking about before, some people are denied that, the support from their parents, and they don't have, love. They don't feel like they're supported, involved. But like we still get the opportunity to choose our family through some of these relationships that exist online. And our families can be much larger than I think what exists obviously naturally. I mean, there are a couple families out there that you might have each couple putting off like 8 kids or whatever.
yeah.
Very large families. But all things considered, when you talk about the possibility that exists online, like we can continue to find people who just want to back us up. And I think I start to see a lot more people wanting to carry that torch. And so I'm excited about the future, about what the potential is of the future, looking at, individuals and how they want to affect others. But I also think that we're starting to see a marginal, I would say, expanse between those two ends of the spectrum. That, we have absolute toxicity and absolute positivity. We see acceptance and love and inspiration and support and care, and we're starting to get further up that line. But on the opposite end, I think we start seeing individuals' toxicity almost exponentially increase because they feel like no one respects me, no one respects my opinion, so I'm going to draw further away. And then accordingly, they end up shutting down even more. What do you feel like is the best course of action to try and involve yourself with an individual to educate them in an open and accepting environment so that they don't withdraw into that environment where they're more toxic than before?
Oh gosh. Gosh, that's a tricky question. Because I try and be nice to people no matter what the situation is. Personally, I'm rarely. I mean, if someone says something mean to me, I'm like, hey, are you okay? Like, and I mean, most of the time the conversation spirals anyways. Like, I think that there's some people, especially when you look at Twitch, I think they come on here just to be mean to people at times.
I'd agree with that.
And I don't think, I think that it's largely dependent on the person, because maybe they do have some empathy that's built up, and then when they say that thing, they're like, okay, that was kind of crappy of me. And when that happens, that's when you can kind of take that moment and just be accepting. I don't hold grudges, and I think that that's the most important part, realistically, of all of it. Then someone says something mean to me, I'm like, that's not cool, and then they come back a week later, hey, I'm sorry. I'm like, let's just chill, whatever. Okay, welcome. I'm not very big into just like isolating people permanently or holding anything over anyone's head. That's just not, I don't think it's a good life plan, personally. Now, do I keep them at a distance for a while? Absolutely. But I think giving people another chance is pretty important.
I would agree with that. I mean, like, we're only as strong as our own choices, and we can only teach that strength to individuals through, the choices that we make. If we choose to be, for lack of a better word, shitty, people are going to see that as like, oh, well, if you're so quote unquote high and mighty and you're coming at me with a terrible attitude, like what, it just self reinforces what they're doing.
Hmm.
Like, oh, shitty and shitty, and okay, I'm good where I am, you know. And so I definitely think that there's an opportunity for a lot of people out there that, you know, want to create an environment of I wouldn't say like unconditional love, but love
Hmm.
beyond a lot of bounds. That, you know, we understand that you're trying to reform, you know, that
Hmm.
you recognize that the decision that you made might not have been the best choice of action. And now
Hmm.
you're trying to dial that back a little bit and come back to a different ground. But I think that there's a lot of opportunities there for society. I think there's a lot of opportunities there for individuals. And I think things are definitely getting better. And I think,
Hmm.
you know, social media has taught us a lot about that and about ourselves. So
Yeah, I can agree.
I'm excited for the future. One of the things that I think is interesting as well when you're talking about you know, opportunities for a more positive light.
Hmm.
How do you feel like in splitting a community, things like battle passes and things like that? Obviously, a huge change in topic, but battle passes might be affecting how the player base might end up being split. Like, you know, you start to see these battle passes that reinforce you being only present on one game, that, you know, you have to pay into it, and that the only way
Hmm.
that you can, you know, finish it is if you're on the game 7 hours a day, 5 hours a day, whatever, in order
Hmm.
to knock it out. You know, there's just not enough time. I know PUBG is a little bit longer of a time scale with their seasons, whereas something like Paladins or Apex, where you only
Hmm.
have 60 days or 90 days to finish it, it's like, well, we don't want you to be anywhere else. And I understand the business aspect, but when you're talking about community and the respect for a community, some of the
Hmm.
games that are willing to say, hey, you know what, we know that you're playing other stuff, and we know that
Hmm.
your friends play other things. How do you feel like some of those game decisions, those company decisions, affect the industry as a whole and our outlook, our view on them?
Oh wow. Okay, so incredibly relevant because I just read a book. Gosh, what was the name of it? I can't remember honestly. But it was a book that was based off of uh, organizations that actually use social psychology to discourage people from staying on social media for too long. Um, so they make it to where the application is appealing for about an hour and then they're cool to put their phone down, you know, and they don't need to look at it for a couple of days because they don't want people just kind of trapped in this loop. Because if you look at stuff like Facebook or Twitter or even Twitch for the most part,
Yep.
websites are designed to keep you engaged. They want you there. And I
Yep.
think games do the exact same thing through battle passes and such. I mean, when you look at like a battle pass, like Rainbow Six Siege is really bad for me right now because I'm seeing I'm at level 70 and I know that I can finish this battle pass. Um, I know I can finish it. I just have to keep playing, you know? And it's very much like that kind of casino technique of pumping oxygen into the atmosphere. It's like,
Yep.
well, you don't realize how long you've played because you're just kind of grinding out these levels.
Yep.
And it gives people an objective as well, which I think that multiplayer games did lack an objective for the longest time. Like your biggest objective in a multiplayer is win, but what do you do after that? There's nothing to carry you from match to match to match. But now they've got something that actually ties a session together as a whole. Um, and yeah, it's got to be there's definitely some psychologists that are being hired at gaming companies now to look at this and being like, how do we make this more appealing?
Oh, I'm sure. I think that, you know, we're looking at a bit of a transition in how we view those games. How, like,
Hmm.
what the uh perceived aspects of that game end up becoming. Because, you know, it definitely, as a creator, I find, you know, I want to play PUBG with you. I want to play Dead by Daylight with members of my community. I want to play Apex by myself. I want to do this, that, this, that. I don't have enough time. Even if I weren't streaming, I wouldn't have enough time. I'd have to be gaming 14, 15 hours a day. Not that
Yeah.
there are people out there that don't do that, but, you know, you would have to be gaming 14 or 15 hours a day. And if I want to hold down a job, hold down a relationship, stream, you know, there's just not enough time to back that up. And so I feel like there's some focus there, that, you know, how do we create an environment
Hmm.
that's beneficial for everyone, and, you know, reinforces the behavior of, hey, while you are here, we promise you're going to enjoy it. We promise that it's
Hmm.
going to be a good time and that you're going to see the benefit of being here. And I think
Yeah.
they've done a little bit of that with the free battle pass where, hey, we'll give you some coins, we'll give you some of this, and that'll give you the money that you need to buy the battle pass whenever you're comfortable. You think, hey, you know what, I am playing this a lot. I'm gonna back it up. I'm gonna buy the you know, the paid track or whatever.
Mhm.
But I still feel like on the back end it might be splitting. Just the same sense that you go into a gambling casino and you know you're kind of wasting money or throwing it away, that you feel like you have to be there
Mhm.
because you're feeling so good, you know, with the extra oxygen.
Yeah.
But
Um, yeah, I mean, I think that a lot of this is, I mean, I think if you were to ask a designer or a developer, hey, do you want a battle pass in your game? I think most developers are going to be like, hell no, I don't want that. I think most developers are going to look at it and hate that decision. I think that those decisions most of the time are just driven financially.
oh, absolutely, by
And I
publishers
mean,
and shareholders.
yeah, and when you talk about situations like that, I mean, there's not really a way to win. I mean, I can't stand stuff like battle passes and loot boxes and what have you, and I try to avoid them. But even I fall into the trap of, oh gosh, that's really cute, or I really want that skin, or I really want this, and this is the only way to get it, kind of thing. Because I mean, you talk about like you know, social flexing or whatever. It's like getting the leather jacket in high school or whatever, you know, or like you've got to have the nice brands or whatever. I think it applies to gamers as well. So I think it's just they finally found, you know, the thing that nerds like to go after. And yes, I'm calling gamers nerds. I'm not actually sorry about that at all. I'm a self-proclaimed nerd and I love it. But
Wait, what? This is news. I thought you didn't allow for nerds in your
interview's
chat or in
over.
your.
Hold on, I gotta go. But I mean, I do think that they finally found something that people care about, and I think that is good. But when you talk about the way that they're exploiting people for it, because a lot of this stuff is mostly designed for kids who will go to their parents and be like, heck yeah, I want to I want to get these skins, these Fortnite skins. And yeah, I think Sarah in chat right there, that's what it is. It's gambling for kids. It's
Yeah.
straight up, it's manipulative, and it keeps people engaged. And it gets crazy because like Apex was so bad at it at first. I remember the heirloom knife that came out for Wraith, and then you realize the drop rates on that, and you're like, oh, these poor kids, like, you know,
Yeah.
they want this, you know, they've got to flex this, and every time you see someone with that, you're like, how much did you spend on loot boxes?
Yep.
Because they tell you it's like by the time you open like 500 crates or whatever, and it goes up over time, like they're just gonna be like, okay, well, I'm probably getting close to it at this point. Like, I've got to be getting close to it at this point. No, I've got to be there. Okay, just 50 more crates or something like that. And then at the end of it, you spent $150 or something like that. And it would be very easy for a kid or someone without self-control to do that. And so
in getting into that aspect, you know, battle passes are essentially teaching our younger audience. I mean, we've heard story after story of, you know, kid steals mom's credit card and buys Fortnite battle pass, buys crates, buys this, buys that, buys skins, and $500 later, you know, Roblox $5,000 later, they start to realize that the monopoly money is actually real. That, you know, they've been pushing their parents into this terrible situation that they now have to dial back from. So do you think at like there is the financial aspect that, you know, this is smart for our business. On the business side, like it helps the company, the developer, the publisher to stay in functional adequacy and profitable. But would you agree that it is definitely preying on, you know?
oh, it's predatory as heck because you're using. I mean, you're talking about manipulating people, and it is like there's a science behind all of this. I mean, you're basically pushing these triggers that people have on, okay, I can do this, I can do this. It's just like the way that they put stuff in front of people. You know, or at least games put stuff in front of people and arrange it and how they make it look, because they're not going to put good looking skins in the free category or make them super cheap or anything like that. They're going to ramp them up to $20, and every other skin in the game is going to look like crap. It's going to be like when you go to the grocery store and, you know, you've got all your brands here. The generics are all the way at the bottom where you can barely even see them, and you've got, like, let's talk about bread, I guess, because that's the brand that's in my head right now.
Bread.
Wonder Bread is right in front of your eyes. No matter how tall you are, it is right there. And guess what? You're going to pick 90% of the time. You're going to pick that. So they're going to put these skins in front of your face, and you may not like want it immediately or anything like that, but it's going to stick in the back of your head. And unless you're realizing that that's a technique that advertisers use and developers use, most of the time you're going to be like, well, I can get it because it's really cheap. And then next week they put out another really good one, and you're like, well, I don't have a skin for that gun yet. And you've got to, because you don't want to be the person without a skin in the party.
So you know, go ahead. Sorry.
And I will say on that, there are like certain social pressures and stuff like that too, because I know that even with me playing Rainbow Six Siege, if we've all got like the legendary skins or something like that, and one player doesn't, we're like, oh, imagine not having imagine not having the elite skin. Thanks for messing this up. Like, it's just one of those situations. Like, you don't realize that your friends are just as guilty as anyone for wanting you to have these. So it really does. It is built to make you want to spend money.
Well, and I know last night I was playing some PUBG with my best friend, and you know, he found like some thinking skin or something. Like, what were you thinking? Like, the guy points to his head and he's like, oh yeah, I'm totally gonna get that through these loot boxes and then equip it, or you know, whatever. And you know, I was talking about the fact that you had like all these wild things, and he's like, well, how do you even like get these? I'm like, oh, well, I'm pretty sure you just get it from basically just shooting people in the head constantly, like, you know, click heads make deads. But it just takes time, man. It's just, we're just gonna have to build up to it. He's like, well, I'm not spending money, you know. But I think it goes back to, you know, companies have to ensure their lifespan, and you know, a lot of people have to ensure their lifespan, but at what cost does it become a moral dilemma? And I think we're seeing a lot of that right now. I think we're seeing a lot of that from, you know, the whole AMC, GME nonsense that's going on with the stock brokerage and short selling and everything like that. And I know it's kind of like a push button hot topic right now, but it goes to, at what point do we start to make moral decisions that are more beneficial for us as a human race, us as individuals, us as emotional value?
Okay. Well, I think that, I mean, in terms of looking at it as business, I mean, that's, gosh, this is going to come off. People are going to look at me and be like, oh gosh. That's capitalism. That is what it is. I mean, you're motivated by profit. At the end of the day, the primary objective of a business is to increase shareholder value. I'll always remember the first conversation that I ever watched. It was for like a Fortune 5 energy company, and I watched the CEO speak, and he was like, at the end of the day, our only objective is to increase shareholder value, but do it in the safest way possible. But then I realized, you know, and this is a dark topic, but a week later there was someone who took their own life. And then you realize that this person, because there was a big like thing that came out of it, like it was huge. This person was working 80 hours a week, wasn't supported at all or anything like that. And they even reached out and was like, I really need time off. And they kept disproving it, you know? And you're like, at what point, like you just work this person to death, basically, you know? How is that a good thing? And you'll realize that some companies will stop at nothing to make their profit margin as large as possible. And I don't like that, because realistically, I think PUBG could get away with just doing the battle pass and still keep it profitable as heck. It's not like they have this large team of developers at this point. They probably have 2 or 3 artists, and then they probably have like 5 to 6 people doing back-end work on the game itself. I mean, most of that budget now is probably marketing.
Well, and
it
maybe
might be a little bit of a larger team, but realistically, their upkeep is not going to warrant what they charge on a lot of stuff. So.
Well, and it's probably into their newer development. I mean, I read an announcement that they should have 3 new, rather related or new IPs by the end of 2021 and the start of 2022 that are related to PUBG. You know, in some fashion. Pay for
themselves, you know.
Right, and that'll be their own thing. So it's like, you know, this game, we're funneling and channeling all of our programmers, all of our assets, any resources, marketing team, whatever, into these new projects, and we're keeping the skeleton shit back there at PUBG to just hang on and pull in some cash. You know, our hardcore, our diehards, they're not going anywhere. They've been here for 3 years. What are they gonna do? You know, so. I think that there's a set there, and I know Extreme Tattoos kind of brought it up a little bit, that, you know, we have games these days that are pushed beyond their means, that, you know, people are forced to work over and over and over again, and, you know, you get crunch time. But in reality, I've always viewed crunch time as just a necessity. You know, you have a passion for your project and you want it to succeed, you want it to come out in a good light. And I know that there's some up and down in both directions, that, you know, is it worth mental health? Is it worth the work struggle? Is it worth the enforcement, quote unquote, of staying there? And some people, I think, should have the right to just walk out and say, like, no, I just can't do it. And there are other people who are hard workers. Sorry, not the right phrase, but are choosing to work hard out of their own prerogative. You know, like I'll work extra hours. I don't care. That's always been my mental focus, just because of who I am.
Yeah,
I don't.
I tend to not have that mindset, and I say that because I'm someone who is very much work to the bone.
Gotcha.
I mean, I was working 80 to 90 hours a week, and it wasn't because I was passionate about what I did. I mean, it's an energy company. It was IT. It was storage related stuff. Like, there was no way there was passion about it.
Right.
It was more like, if I don't do this, I don't have a job. And if I don't have a job, I don't have insurance. I don't have a home.
Right.
So it was very much one of those things, like, I don't want to be here, and I'm a hard worker, and I'm going to work as much as they need me to because I need this job. And I think that that's the situation that something like that puts developers in. Don't get me wrong. I bet developers love their game, but there's a reason most developers don't play their game at the end of the day, because it's just not a good thing for them at that point. Like, I don't think most developers can look at their game and be super happy about it anymore, because they remember how much toil and how many hours they put into that. I think at the end of the day, the studio needs to take time and hire more developers to avoid that crunch. Realistically, I think that's the answer.
I also think that quality assurance has gone down kind of the way of the wayward, that, you know, we have a lot of titles that they come out, you know, broken or destroyed, or, you know, with glitches. And if you look back in the you know, 80s, 90s, sure, we definitely had more quote unquote stable games. They were more simplistic.
There's a big difference there, though. We can patch games now. Correct.
And I totally agree with it. So, you know, a lot of people say that, oh, well, and not that, I mean, I know that there are two different versions at least of Doom on floppy. Like, you know, they came out with Generation 1, and then Generation 2 fixed some of the issues, you know. But when you talk about a game like, you know, Cyberpunk, they push through crunch time, and then they're trying to resolve issues before the game actually comes out, that it's finished. And I think it comes down to Q&A. Like, that you've got a bunch of opportunities to make sure that the games function on all these different platforms. And I think that we don't look at things the same way from a multiplayer standpoint. How do we make sure that the maps feel smooth? From the developmental standpoint, how do we make sure that, you know, all platforms are tested? How do we make that work? And I think that, you know, a lot of companies have kind of left that behind for the purpose of, well, we know that we can patch it. We have that reliability, and we'll just worry about that after it comes out. Yeah. You know, and same thing with any Bethesda game, any CDPR game, any Bethesda game. Like, I had a smooth Cyberpunk launch, and I had a smooth Witcher launch. I didn't run into any of the issues that anyone ever looked at, from literally Witcher 1 all the way through Cyberpunk. I've had flawless launches for their games. However, I have not had flawless launches for Bethesda titles.
Yeah. I couldn't actually play The Witcher 3 for about 2 years.
And you were PC?
So yeah, I've been PC since college, basically. And don't get me wrong, I still love my PS4 and my Xbox, but it's just, I like mouse and keyboard. It's more comfortable for me. But oh gosh, I remember the first time I tried to play Witcher. I'd press a button, because I play Witcher on controller, but I like playing it on PC because I was able to make it a little bit prettier. And why would you not do that?
No, absolutely.
And I press a button, and then like half a second later, the input would come out, and I'm like,
ooh.
I don't like this. So it just felt super clunky for the longest time, and it just didn't vibe well with me. And then someone came back like 2 years later. I think it was Moki was like, no, they fixed that. And like you need to try it. And then I tried it. It was like, okay, now I like this game. And that's kind of the attitude that I'm gonna have a CD project or with not CD project, but Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk, I enjoyed what I played of it so far. It's a beautiful game, and I think that the storyline is great. I think the polish is around, like, you break one law and there's 15 cops that spawn around you, like,
yeah.
instantly. There's no chance you can get away. I mean, you can be up on a roof alone with no entrance, and then suddenly you're surrounded by the SWAT team, and you're like, where did you come from?
Full teleport with grenade spam.
And I will say that's my one complaint about Cyberpunk. How can it be Cyberpunk if you can't be a criminal, really? Because you have to be a criminal on rails.
Yeah.
So.
No, I like Cyberpunk. I think it's a solid game, and I would agree. Like, the story feels developed. Like, everything feels like a Witcher game. It feels like their traditional game, but this is their first exposure, their first adventure into a world of FPS. Like, when you look at Witcher 1, Witcher 2, Witcher 3, those are dense third-person narrative games. And now you have a first-person narrative game that they've been developing. It's like no real other studio has really dived into that, except for maybe Respawn. Respawn Entertainment did Titanfall. They did Titanfall 2. They did Apex. And then now all of a sudden you get the Star Wars game that comes out of nowhere. Like, it's a vastly different industry for them. So I definitely expected there to be problems. But it's one of the reasons I actually ended up getting Witcher 3 on Xbox, is because, I heard so much about Witcher 1, heard so much about Witcher 2, and I had an Xbox. So to me, it was like, well, I'll just get it on the Xbox, and I'm not going to have any problems with it. It's going to launch fine. It's going to run fine. Everything's going to be fine because it's set for one console. And I think one of the issues that, that developers and the industry runs into is the diversity of parts. And it was more simpler, or sorry, it was more simple even, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when there was really only, EVGA and Asus and a couple companies making parts. And now you have XFX and Zotac and all these other random companies that most people have never even heard of until, the past 5 years, making parts. And the diversity of localization that's available for game dev is just so much larger. How do you make it all work,
Yeah, can I say that I hate how many developers there are now? Because, like, every time a new GPU comes out, I've got to, like, wait 2 weeks just to even consider which one I'm gonna get, because you've got to wait for benchmarks on all of them, and you've got to make sure they're all stable. And oh gosh, and then someone will come to me and they'll be like, "Hey, what do you think of the Zotac card?" And I'm like, I don't know.
Go look it up, please.
Yeah, just Google it, okay? Because I'm going to be honest, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to YouTube, and I'm going to go to, like, Jay's 2 Cents or something like that, and you're going to tell me if it's good or not,
Right.
You think I know? All right, I plug in card, I play video game. Okay, that's the extent of all I want to know about hardware at this point. And don't get me wrong, I have a very hardware-based job, but with gaming, it's too much right now.
And it's wild. It's wild. Because you have so many things that kind of end up happening in the industry. Sorry, I got a little distracted. There are so many things that end up happening in the industry around individuals being like the tech specialist, right? Like, people come to you to say, hey, I need help with this. You're a streamer, you must know. And I think Jambo had brought up something probably about, a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, when she originally had built her computer, that so many people she had coming in there just harassing her. Oh, you're a girl. You don't know what you're talking about with the computer. Let me help you. Get your boyfriend to help you. It's just like toxic behavior. But in the reality, like, we wouldn't have gotten to where we are if we didn't know something. Yeah, there are probably people out there that have helped individuals to set things up, but we have to troubleshoot issues. We have to do so much. And I think it goes back to that. We wear so many different hats. Like, yeah.
And I will say, on that note, this is that any of, like, the PC master race people here. Am I allowed to use bad language?
Yeah, you're good.
At all? Okay, yeah,
We're good.
fuck off with the PC Master Race thing. I hate that.
Yes.
I hate that so much. If I have to be honest with you, the pretentiousness that exists in the PC community is so stupid. Realistically, someone buys a pre-built and then all of a sudden everyone's jumping down their throat because they didn't know how to build a PC. I have to be honest with you. Building a PC is scary for someone who has no clue what's going on for the most part because, you know, you say it's super easy, but then every video you see that's of like an evaluation or a judgment on a gamer station, they're like, why is your tubing like that? Why are your wires not perfect? Why is this not like this? And you're like, I thought this shit was easy. And then on top of that, I mean, you look at the prices of pre-builds versus parts at this point, it's hardly a difference. And one of them you get a warranty with. So, I mean, there's stuff like that. And then you take all of that, and then you throw in streaming into the picture, and everyone thinks that they know what is best for a streamer.
Right.
And it's why, like, don't get me wrong, I would never use Streamlabs OBS. I find it to be heresy for it to even be installed on my computer. I can't stand it.
I mean,
However,
hey, I did it first.
I will not judge anyone because it works for them.
Right.
You know? If something works for someone, why sit there and knock them for it? And yes, there probably is a better way, but it comes down to like the Ford versus Dodge versus Chevy argument that people throw in most of the time. It's a friggin' preference. And yes, each one is more efficient at something than one or the other. It's convenience versus efficiency in a lot of your thoughts. And some people prefer it to be more convenient. Like, who are we to say, no, how dare you make your life easier? Oh my God. Oh, I get so tilted thinking about this stuff.
Well, and we've definitely had the conversation here that, like, you know, you play where you want, play where your friends are, play where you know that you can have fun with your family. And I think the industry's done so much to start. She is very gorgeous. You're absolutely right. You need to literally tell her that constantly. We talk about this all the time. She's done. All right. So we found it out. If you're talking about any nerd shit, you can't be here. And if you're telling Kay how beautiful she is, you can't be here. I'm just saying. But no, I think that, you know, like a lot of people were so influenced, you know, seeing, oh, this is my perfect PC setup. And you see, you know, the Instagram post with 187,000 likes of, you know, the giant blue glowing background, you know, not that I'm one to talk because I've got all the crazy lights and all that nonsense. But, you know, you've got this, hey, I've got all the fancy things. And that's what makes me important. That's what makes me special. And that's why I'm a top creator, is because I've got the $4,000 computer set up with, you know, 3 TI cards, you know, whatever. And everyone's...
let everyone in on a little secret. I've got a computer science degree. I very much know what I'm doing with computers. I bought a pre-built.
There you go.
Because at the end of the day, when I get done troubleshooting for 9-10 hours a day at work, I don't want to do that with my own stuff. I want to plug it in and I want it to work. Okay. Well, that is what it is. But I mean, I went through like NZXT's build tool and I picked out every part individually. And that's the cool thing about pre-builts now, is you can actually design your own PC, but still get the perks of having a pre-build. And there are perks there. Like, people who sit here and think, you know, people who sit here and think, you know, your pre-built is not going to be as good as my build. I'm like, it's a part. You plug it in. How is it different? Like, do you have like the friggin' Midas touch of computers? I mean, do you win the Silicon lottery the second that you touch a processor? Are you serious? No, you don't. You plug it in and it works just as well as mine.
Well, and I've been there. I worked in retail, and, you know, kids would come in and they'd be like, oh, I want to build my own computer. I'm like, well, honestly, I'm just going to let you know, you can buy a pre-built. You don't have to worry about buying Windows. Not to mention, like, obviously there's sites out there that you can buy a key for $5 or $7 or whatever, but not thinking about that. Just looking at, okay, if you're looking at parts to what you're getting, they're coming out pretty close to the same price. So when you're thinking about it, like, to me, it's convenience. I've built 10 of these things. I'm sick of like plugging a part in and then not having any idea what's going wrong, and then pulling everything back out, putting everything back in, and now it works. And you're like, the mental stress, I don't want to deal with that anymore. So pre-built is like, we shouldn't be shaming people for the choice financially, the choice emotionally, the choice of convenience, the choice of whatever. Like, it's their choice. What they do with their own money, like, you can offer insight and say, hey, you know, this particular pre-built, it might not be the best option for you. Like, they're known for having problems, or, you know, whatever. Like, offering your professional insight, it's one thing, but I think that there's, in the same light of kind of what we were talking about earlier, that there is that other end of the spectrum that just wants to view everything as like, I am the best and I know the most. And if you don't recognize that, F you.
Yeah.
And I think that we're slowly pulling away from that, just barely. And I think that we're definitely headed in the right direction. But I'm eager. Go ahead.
I don't like when people shame people for literally anything, for the most part. When you're talking about stuff that have choices like this, it's kind of a weird thing to me. It's like if someone was like, "Oh, I prefer Papa John's" or "I prefer Mazio's," and you're like, "Get out of here, Mazio's is trash," and I'm like, "It's pizza. This is what they like. Like everyone's a little bit different. Like just let them do them, man. Like chill." It's fine. It'll be fine. Just because they don't like what you like, yeah. The mindset of like people are obligated to like the things that I like is always just silly to me. That's why I'm never like hesitant if someone's like, "Oh, you got to watch this video or you got to watch this movie with me." Okay, you've got to. And if I watch it, I'll be like, "It really wasn't my thing. I'm sorry." I'll be honest with people. I'm like, it's not my preference, but I'm glad you enjoy it. I've got no problem saying something like that, but I'm never going to sit there and attack, anything for the most part.
So speaking of movies, one of the questions that I had, a huge transition as well. I have to ask, who has the biggest bottom energy in Top Gun?
Oh, that's a hard one. Oh gosh. Maverick's got real Brad energy, in my opinion, which doesn't inherently mean bottom, but I'm willing to bet that Maverick would be the bottom. I think, I mean, it's possible that Goose could be there. I see them both as switches, though, if I have to be honest with you. But I have to be real. That movie, 100%. If that movie were to come out this year, I'm telling you, that it would be a queer icon film.
Whoa, hold up. Aren't they making a second one?
They are, but let's be honest, the storyline is set. I mean, unless something drastic changes.
You haven't seen you have to watch Top Gun, Sarah.
Top Gun's fantastic.
It's definitely worth it.
Sarah, we're gonna have a movie night with Top Gun. I'm declaring it right now.
The last movie night that I was there for, that was something. That was real. That was something. I've never seen that. What is it? Kung Pao Enter the Dragon or whatever?
Oh, Kung Pao Enter the Fist. That was
the Fist. Yes.
Oh, that was an affair. Okay, it's really funny. I got a message from my friend that's here, and he can hear me, I guess, in the living room, and he messaged me on Discord. Goose was the dom, just saying. and you think about it, it's actually true. Goose is always telling Maverick, "Don't do this, don't do this, don't." I agree with that, actually. Okay.
So we've discovered.
It's laid out. It's canon.
Okay. All right. Done. So at this point, like I feel like I've gone through most of what I have, and I would love to transition to if anyone has any questions for Kay or myself from the community, all of our viewers out there who are watching. If you guys want to know more, we'd love to hear from you. Throw it up.
Yeah, I like answering questions. I like talking about myself. It's fine.
Savage.
Oh, I don't like Tom Cruise either. He's creepy. He's absolutely creepy, but he is a good actor. It's unfortunate.
Maverick gives Switch energy. Changed my mind.
Maverick's just a brat. Brats always give Switch energy, but at the end of the day, if they get into someone that can actually control them and yell at them properly, they'll know where they're supposed to be. Okay, that was inappropriate. You can't say stuff like that on Twitch.tv.
We're a completely innocent stream.
What type of games are your favorite to play? Okay, so I think that shooters are definitely my favorite. They have and they always will be. like Halo was the first game that I took super seriously. I started playing Halo 2 competitively back when I was in high school, and the shooter kind of just picked up from there. But in terms of like outside of shooters, I've gotten really into like survival games like Stranded Deep and stuff like that. And I have a lot of fun with those. And then also team fight tactics is like my biggest guilty pleasure. Like I play that for hours and hours a day off stream.
You need to teach me how to play that.
Game.
I have yet to even try it.
You know, I've got to teach myself how to play it still. I'm still learning.
So someone told me it's kind of like a more involved chess.
I think it's less involved. Like chess is, so I played chess in like middle school and high school, and you've got to think way further ahead in chess because you control all the moves in chess, and you have to predict what your opponent's going to do. In this one, you need to use, it's more pattern recognition than most things, and knowing which cards are still available in the deck, because there's only a certain amount of each card. So you have to be bouncing between all the players that are active and stuff like that. And yes, it's a little involved, but I don't think it's nearly as involved as chess. I think that chess, you have to think a lot deeper. Personally.
What's your go-to color if you could change the color of a product?
Go-to color if I can change the color of the product? It really does change most of, like my favorite color is purple, 100%. Like I plan on dyeing my hair purple at some point in my life.
Oh my gosh, when? Please.
I don't know. I've
listen,
been saying it for like 3 years.
Guys, charity drive goal. I don't care what we do. Like literally charity drive goal. Everyone go over there. Anytime you see her live, just drop it in chat. Charity drive goal, purple hair. Done.
I don't know. I've got to think about it.
We'll allow that.
Wow, I got auto modded.
Yep.
Jeez.
Hey, we don't like negative phrases here. Look, we don't like calling people losers and stuff.
But it's myself. Okay.
That's why I'll allow it for now.
Okay. Awesome. Fantastic. So purple would be my like first suggestion, but it really does depend on the product. I mean, because there's a lot of psychology that goes into colors for products. Like, would I have a purple car? Probably not. Would I have purple accents on a car? Absolutely. So it just depends.
Do we have any other? A lot of comments. Do we have any other questions for Kay out there? Anything else? Oh, I guess I have one more that I could ask you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an open book. I like talking about stuff. So, if you want to ask it, go.
So, do you feel like America or the citizenship country, whatever in general, puts us in the position to think that we can't necessarily ask a question in a safe environment, that people feel anxious thinking about, well, hey, I want to know more about this. I want to, ask a question, understand what's going on. Do you feel like because of the reactions that people see online, because of the reactions that people see out in the world, do you feel like people are anxious and then withdraw from wanting to know more just because of a lot of the reactions that they see from individuals to harm or deter or berate individuals for asking questions? Like, oh, you asked this, so screw you because you don't know.
Yeah, I think that's like the definition of anxiety for a lot of people. I think that is something that I wish that we would get past, because there are people that react like that, and I cannot stand that. I cannot stand it, because the one thing that we all need to be doing throughout our life is learning, and the only way that you do that is ask questions. I hate when I see someone get shamed for asking questions. In fact, I've seen it at work before, and in a meeting that I was running, and I swear I think I made this poor kid fear for his job after he joked about it. Because, even like a little innocent joke, for the most part, or innocent, quote unquote, how do you not know that? You've been working here for 2 years. Like, that person is not going to ask a question for 6 months.
Yeah.
Honestly. So I can't stand that, and I want people to be able to ask questions without judgment, because that's the only way we grow, right?
So, two things. What's your favorite useless thing to learn or about you, just for you? And then, where did you get your sweater and how much is it? I want one.
Okay, Route 21 is where I got this sweater, and it was like a year and a half ago, so it's probably not even made anymore. I'm really sorry. And then favorite useless thing, I wouldn't say anything that I learn is useless because learning is great no matter what. But my favorite thing to learn about is history, believe it or not. I'm a big history nerd. In fact, if you come into my room and I'm not streaming, there is most likely a history documentary playing. So, yeah, that's full send. So,
The Shift W.
Yep. Yep.
Wait, what?
Oh, jeez.
Oh, I'm sorry, Clax. Oh,
What period's most interesting to me? Probably right. I mean, my stepdad, before that relationship got strained, we were big into doing like World War II models. We'd do like planes and tanks and stuff like that, and paint die casts, and I love doing that. So I study a lot of World War II, but I study like historical figures like crazy. I love that. Like I liked learning about, I got to learn a lot of like little weird facts about Winston Churchill one day, because there was just like this seminar that I ran into on YouTube. There was like 20 views on it, but it was some like old World War II, like British veteran, just like sitting there talking about his interactions with Churchill and how abrasive and just rude he was, but also seen as being the hero to all these people. Because he was like, I worked beside this man and I watched him like fire someone because they used a staple instead of a clop, you know?
Definitely a wild interaction.
On that story, Winston Churchill hated staples. He hated metal, paper clips, all of that on any documents. He used what was called a clop, and it's basically a hole punch that would put a string through it instead. And he accidentally cut his finger once, and he fired someone immediately over that.
Wow.
Just gone from the staff. Yeah. Yeah.
That's an interesting bit of knowledge. One of those little Easter eggs just tossed in there. Yeah. All right. What do we have any more questions for Kay? Anything else? Have either of you seen the trailer for The Day Before? And if so, what are your thoughts? I have not.
I may have seen this trailer. I haven't then. Nope, I have not yet.
I can give you my thoughts later.
Yep.
Where is Ripley?
Ripley is in the living room hanging out with a friend while they watch The Expanse, I think.
So a lot of people always ask, like, hey, this is one of the things that I wish I would have known as a streamer, like getting into the industry before I started up. What would you say is like your most detrimental thing that you have done as a creator that you wish you would not have?
Started off streaming PUBG. No, I wish that I would have been more variety from the get-go and focused on my community early on, because before I was like, I'm really good at PUBG and people are going to want to see that. And then you come to the realization, and I'm sorry to all of the pro gamers out there, your community does not give a shit about what you play for the most part. And yes, game choice is important to a degree. It has to be slightly entertaining, but you're the entertainment, and your ability to build a community is the most important thing out there. And be personable and be there for people. 100% that is the key. And I wish I would have realized that the first year. So
10 out of 10. However, I will state that if anyone goes back and finds old clips of Kay when she was streaming PUBG, she absolutely destroyed. Go watch that stuff. It's phenomenal.
Don't lie to these poor people. Okay,
it's great. She wears glasses. I've been telling her she needs to get new glasses so that way she's got this whole look.
My prescription, it's sitting over here. I just need to order them. I've needed to order them for like a year. It's fine.
Sorry, excuse me. I don't know if you're looking for anything in special glasses, but I know my best friend ordered a bunch from China, and they're perfect. Like he got 8 pairs for $40 or $30 or something, and they're prescription. So
I just plan on ordering them from Zenny.
Oh, okay, gotcha. All right, fair enough. I just figured I'd throw it out there, you know. Orange Crockett asked, "What's your favorite thing about me?"
What's your favorite thing about you? Okay, I've got a story about Ham. Okay, Ham has been stalking me through all my communities that I'm a part of. Honestly, he's been following me from person to person. But in one of my best friends, Ginger's stream, there was a she's got a younger audience. She's got a few kids that are still in high school and stuff like that. And one of them in her chat brought up, I'm doing, whoa, God, he was doing inverse functions.
Yep. In calculus.
Yeah, doing pre-calc and stuff like that. And, I'm always a little, this is nothing against him. I'm always a little off put by people who are super, super nice from the get-go on Twitch, because a lot of the time there are people who have ulterior motives in the way that they treat people. And that's kind of how I was like, okay, this Ham guy, he's super nice out of nowhere, and he's probably just looking for a raid or something like that, and that's fine, whatever. But then I saw he was in this channel for 2 hours helping this kid learn inverse functions and pre-calc. No obligation, no one asked him to. He just piped up and said, hey, let's do this. And I was like, oh shit, this guy's actually really nice. What the hell? Like, that's what I like, that he's actually that nice of a person and goes out of his way for people.
I still have the math on the notepad. It's all right in there. Someone wanted to help, and I had to help them. I don't know. It's healthy for me anyways. I haven't done math in more than a decade. Like you got to learn. You got to catch back up. But I appreciate that. That's very kind of you to say. Do you think that glasses would help you gain another edge?
Not really, because in terms of this distance from me to my monitor, it doesn't affect it much. It's more for things over 10 feet for me.
What size monitor do you have?
27 inch, 28.
And I assume it's probably like a 144 or 240.
240, yeah, it's a 240 hertz. But I run it at 144 because there's a glitch on it right now, and the screen will just black out because the refresh rate will desync from the video card that I have. So,
HRT says, do you have a regular sleep schedule yet?
I plead the fifth on that one. Yep, I'm gonna plead the fifth on that one. I was doing pretty good for a while, but since I've got a friend here, we totally weren't up till 4 a.m. watching Friends.
Definitely has never happened, ever. Not once. Never, ever have you stayed up that late.
No, that would be
Completely
inappropriate and not adult.
And definitely not innocent. So
yeah, no.
Okay. Well, if we don't have any more questions, we'll field one more final question before we close up for the day. We're a little past schedule here, but we can throw one more out there. Any last question? In the meantime, Kay, of course, I just want to thank you for your time. I know that we've learned so much, so incredibly much, and had a blast doing it. I always love these.
This is fun.
I'm glad you had fun. I'm glad. Anyone else? Final questions? Nothing? Cool. I'm waiting for that, I'm typing a 7-hour sentence. How did you start out streaming?
How did I start out streaming? Oh, that's a story. So back, gosh, it was 5 years ago. And I say I've been streaming for 4 years because that's when I started taking it seriously. About 5 years ago, I went through a really, really bad breakup. It was pretty devastating. There was a lot of weirdness, and I kind of retreated into myself and just became antisocial again. All I did was work, come home, and play games. And one day a friend was like, yeah, I'm streaming on Twitch. And I was like, that's cool. And Shadowplay has a stream thing. And I was like, I'll try it. And then I had fun with it because I met a couple of people. I took a small break as I was in the middle of buying a house and stuff like that. And once I got the house set up and got through all the home ownership stuff, that's a nightmare. I was like, I think I want to just give this a try. It looks pretty cool. And I'm about to come out to the world as trans, and it'd be nice to have some kind of experience. So I started working my way up to there. So after I said, like, I started streaming a month before I started Hormones, basically, at least on a serious level.
So wait, just for clarification,
Mhm.
did you come out after you started streaming?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right, cool.
About a year after I started streaming. Um, and
She is.
um, after that, I met a couple of people that were there like almost every day, and they started to become, like close friends. Um, and you meet these people, and then I went to TwitchCon in 2018, and oh my gosh, there were so many people that I knew at TwitchCon. It was so foreign to me that people were there. Like, there were people there to see me. How crazy was that? People traveled across the world. Like, one person traveled from Wales to hang out with
Wow.
me and a couple of other people. Like, it was insane, and I loved it, every moment of it, getting to meet these people and get to know them better. And then it was kind of that weekend that I realized that streaming can actually be something more than just kind of playing games on the internet. You can be there for people, and you can make a little bit of a difference. And it's rare that an individual is able to make a difference in at least more than a few people's lives. And I like that. I like having that kind of appeal, and maybe I can make, my little corner of the internet a little bit of a better place. And no, I don't have like some like grand scheme of like I'm going to change the world. It's more like I'm gonna help improve some people's lives and be there for people and get some laughs. Because I mean, everyone needs a laugh, and everyone loves the laugh. So,
Well, and I think it's a great cause. Like I think that there are a lot of people that need an inspiration. And we were talking with Migos Moo. I met her at PAX South. I'd met her before through Mixer. When she was a streamer, met her through a category and friends and rating and things like that. But there were people that would walk up to her and like, my daughter is trying to get a better understanding of her identity, and you've inspired her so much to do more, to be more, and to understand herself. And like, it's just, you see these touching stories, and like everyone just starts crying, and it's great. And I think a lot of us have that opportunity to just, if we can make one impact, then it helps. Maybe not it's the grand scheme of change the world, but it helps. It helps one person to take that opportunity to maybe do the exact same thing for someone else.
And I will say, so I started my transition. The first date of Hormones for me was May 31st of 2018. I've been on Hormones since then, and it was about 6 months before that I finally admitted to myself that this is more than just, a one-time thing. But there's another component of, I can't even count the amount of people who have come out to me or said I feel comfortable coming out because of seeing you and interacting with your community. And people being able to like live as themselves or be happy with themselves, like there's no greater joy than seeing that. Honestly, I really, really just vibe with that. Like, you can see anytime that someone comes out in chat, most of the time, like I panic, I get so excited. So I love that. And that's why I honestly came back to streaming, because I burned out really hard for a year, but I was working like 60-70 hours a week, and then I was streaming every night on top of that. I was just working myself to the bone. So after getting a healthier relationship with it and stuff, it's been really nice.
And I can say that we've had one instance of that, and it was wild, the level of support from the rest of the community. Just like everyone just starts saying stuff in chat, everyone starts interacting, we're all following up, and it's like you've got a member of the community who's now, it almost feels like so much closer, because they're also so much closer to themselves, and it's like a whole wall just got torn down, and it's an experience. Like, I don't know. I loved the moment. I loved being there with someone. But do you feel like that's something that's going to end up happening a lot? Like people coming out within Twitch communities, within Discord communities?
Oh yeah, no, I do think so. And that makes me happy. I mean, it shouldn't even come to the point where someone needs to come out. And I believe that. I think that people should just be happy from the get-go.
I agree with that. I definitely think that people should be happy from the get-go, but I think society pushes a lot of things on us that kind of force us into it being hard to be in that position. It being hard to being and feeling like I'm, okay, to the exact same point that we were talking about earlier, that sometimes you live in a rural area and it's just not quote unquote acceptable. You're forced to kind of hold on to stuff because of the fear of what might happen if you do say something.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate. But I think we're getting there.
Yeah, no, and it is really cool to see people getting comfortable with it. And it makes me really happy, and I think that this is one of those platforms that you really, because not only can you come out, but like you can control the environment in which you come out. Like someone comes in spewing hate or whatever, you /ban username. It is what it is. But my coming out was interesting because I didn't keep it a secret that well, if I'm being honest with you. Like I just wasn't out in my own community, but like every other community I was out.
Well, you don't seem like a secretive person. You just don't.
I really wasn't. It was the worst kept secret in the world. It really was. And then when I finally came out, because everyone knew it was coming, because after I got a new job, the only reason I didn't come out is because the job that I was working at was very, very homophobic.
Oh yeah. Our other friend has the same issue.
There was a comment that was made. We were sitting there talking, and it was deep in the middle of the 2016 election and stuff like that, at a company in rural Oklahoma that's heavily conservative. And I'll never forget that when we were sitting there, it was like all of my coworkers one day at lunch, and it was in the middle of all the Chelsea Manning stuff, and someone made a comment, was like, if someone's crazy enough to think that they're trans, we should just take them behind a shed. And I was like, okay, that was my moment when I was like, I need to get out of here.
Jeez.
Because I was almost a year on hormones at that point. I got a offer from my current job and put in my 2 weeks notice the next day. Walked out, and I got home, and at the time I was, still in a relationship. I looked at her and I was like, I think I'm gonna come out on Wednesday. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. So I just posted, here we go. I've got this like big announcement on Wednesday. Well, I also happen to know a lot of other like larger streamers at that point. I'd been streaming for a while and pretty active in a lot of communities. I swear to God, like every person I know posted in their channel, like at everyone friggin'. I went live and there were like 100 people in that chat. That was the most nerve-wracking moment of my life, to go online. And then I came out, and it was overwhelming support. Overwhelming. And
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
No, like really, that's beautiful to see that you have so
it.
many people who are willing to go out of their way to say like, no, drop what you're doing. This is an important moment. Yeah. And I think it's great to see multiple communities that are starting to adopt to that. And it's so valuable. It's so valuable for us as humans in a social structure, in cultural, in so many different ways that we start to understand this and understand people. Understand the diversity, the range of people's emotions and their background, their upbringing and their views. And it's influential to you. It's influential to other people who are in a similar situation when they see all of the other people that are behind to hold them up and say, no, like we're back here and we've got you. And we understand. And so I think it's great that you have that. And that's definitely a story that I think will end up helping people. To a great regard.
That VOD is still up too. That's the one VOD that will never be deleted on my channel.
So, can you? Did you save that? Because like I've never even all mine get like auto deleted. I didn't know that you could.
Yeah. I just highlighted it.
Oh, highlight. Okay. All right.
It's a highlight. Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was like the entire VOD, and I was like, oh my God, yes.
I highlighted the entire thing basically.
Okay, gotcha. So. Okay. Well, dude, I'm gonna have to go check that out because now I'm excited. I'm just so excited. I gotta go look at it.
That was definitely the amateur days of my stream. So still had a green screen at the time. So
I like you more with the background, and that's how I am as a person. I like those intimate settings where you can get a feel. Not that
You get to
green
show off
screen
your
doesn't have.
personality. I mean, how do you turn down showing a Charmander off whenever you get a chance? Okay.
I will tell
Gosh.
you. I will tell you. I'm probably always going to remember basically the first thing that you ever said when you came into the stream, and then immediately pretty much left is that I just had too much nerd shit going on in the background, and that you were like, okay, I'm just gonna I'll talk to you later. It was a whole joke.
Oh, yeah. He was definitely not a nerd, 100%. Yeah, and Ripley. Gosh, I can't imagine trying to. Because when I was still living with someone, when I had the green screen, she had to take Ripley every time because he would just come in and just mess up the green screen every single time. So
That's my cats with the camera. I've got Vega, and she wants to climb up the tripod, and since it's so high, it's like, this is where I want to be. It explores the whole world, and so it would just wobble in the background, and I haven't been able to let my cats down since. I want them to be here, but they just destroy everything. So, well, awesome, awesome. Kay, I just want to say thank you again so much for joining us and giving us a glimpse into your world, how you got started, your transition, the support of your community, how you've built up such an understanding and a loving environment of the people around you, but also the communities that you interact with, that you continue to interact with, because your moments that you share are affecting more than just what you see, what you reach. And I think it's highly influential, highly important for you to continue doing your work, not only for obviously the people that are here, but the people that are beyond what we see now.
Yeah.
We never know how far our words reach.
Yeah, and I hope I hope that I do right by my community too. It's a constant struggle trying to balance everything, but I'm pretty happy with my time as a streamer. So
well, and I think that already speaks its own volumes. Like you have support from the individuals that are within your community that will go out of their way, between time spent in Discord to time spent in others. I mean, it's the exact same thing. It's the reason why you see me everywhere. Your word means something to me, and if you're willing to shout a person out, then I should take the time and go and look at them. Side Quest is a bunch of all good people. Gingerfett's hysterical. Like, you've got a bunch of people that you're in direct relation with that do good things for good people.
I love all of them. You want to talk about, I don't know, Twitch has just introduced me to people that I never would have had a chance to meet otherwise, and that just makes me so happy.
It makes me happy as well.
Yeah.
I think that there are a lot of opportunities that I know that I've definitely been blessed with, to meet people that share similar ideals, share similar notions of what we can do to help, make people the best versions of themselves, keep them in their happiest version of themselves.
Yeah. So. Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, everyone else, of course, guys, thank you so much for being here. If you haven't already followed Kay, you can follow her over with that beautiful link. You can fill it in, click out that little heart, stop by sometime, watch her blap heads. She's definitely way better at PUBG than I am. So if you're looking for entertainment in the world of blapping on heads, you found the right place. But Kay, again, thank you so much for your time, for being with us. I appreciate you taking it, and of course we'll end up throwing this up on YouTube.
Can I shout out my recent video if
of
people
course.
Really want to taste of
yes
the...
yeah
Okay.
It's great. It is absolutely great.
I think y'all will like it. Honestly, there was a lot of work that was put into this, and it is really the best way to.
Absolutely. Give me, after it plays, I just want to make sure it's going through okay. So I'm kind of watching the Discord screen. If you're gonna play it, I assume share screen or something.
No, I was just gonna post the link.
If you could send it to me, because the links get filtered automatically, and I'll throw it up there. I'm totally cool with that.
There you go.
Nope, that's not what I want. No, I want this. Get back to the screen. There we go. How can I? Did you send it via Discord?
Yeah.
Will you whisper it to me in Twitch so that way I don't have to pull you down? Thank you.
Gosh.
It's so hard, please.
How do you can you just /whisper?
Yeah, you can do it from the persons, like the people in chat. If you go to the viewers, and then you can select the
Yeah.
individual. Mm-hmm.
I'm totally a professional, by the way.
So am
Your
I.
whisper was not delivered? What? What?
I mean, at worst, if I have to, the moment I swap out of the scene, I can just throw it up in chat.
It's cool.
I'll throw it up in chat.
Fine.
I'll throw it up in chat. I'll as soon as I get out of the main screen, I'll just immediately post it up.
There you go. If you like that video, you'll like my content. So.
Okay. Well,
you go.
anyways, guys, we'll take a peek at it here. We'll just watch it together. That way we can get an idea. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I'm
laugh
not
it
ready
up.
for this.
Laugh it up. No, you are ready. You already. Hey, listen. You already showed it to the world. It's available publicly on Twitter and Twitch.
Said that. I know I said that I didn't have a hard cutoff time, but it's 2:32.
Do it.
I'm
do
sorry.
it. Do it. Do it. All right. Well, guys, again, Kay, thank you. Thank you. Give us just a second here. We're gonna rotate to this video. Kay, thank you for joining us. I appreciate you taking the time, and it's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, no, I had a lot of fun. I appreciate you talking to me and showcasing me. So
Of course. No, it's worth it. I like just the interaction of getting to know people better and getting to know more, because I think it educates all the people out there that may be watching. It helps people to understand, because like I said, I didn't have the exposure. And so some people don't have that luxury, and I think it helps in multiple different ways, from business to personal to social to cultural. I mean, there's so many different aspects that can end up helping an individual, and we never know who we're going to affect out there.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us, Kay. We'll swap over. We're gonna highlight the video, and then we're gonna wrap up for the day.
All right. Yep. Okay. See, they're gonna see this wholesome person, and they're gonna watch this video and be like, "Nope, unfollow. I'm leaving."
All right. Let's see this. A channel trailer. Number 1, Innocence. All right. Let's see. Let me pull this up. 4 minutes, got it. All right, let me put it up on PC view. Let's get some full screen action. And then... No. All right. Here's this. Oh.
Community, gaming, and innocent conversations, while getting some good laughs along the way. Kind of like this. I prefer to be called bitch. See if you can suck my butt. Lucky for them, I'm a master baiter. Daddy, chill. God, can you not do that again while I'm live? I literally can only be so aroused. Fuzzy cups are just too comfortable, and it really kind of ruins the immersion, okay? Ooh for me, and I'll give you money. You're actually stealing Gamer Girl P. How dare you? The audacity. Does SCP stand for sexy cat people? I hope it does.
You're Kaylee, but you asked me to call you wet ass pussy.
No, I'm not a completely innocent person. Obviously, I'm not that innocent. Jokes aside, I love games all across the spectrum. FPSs have my heart, though. I especially still love some PUBG, and I'm not half bad at it. Okay, here's the thing. I only have a red dot, but I've got some confidence.
Ooh.
Dude, one shot headshot.
GG. 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 Let's go. Let's go. Don't get me wrong. The cool shots and lewd jokes can be fun, but that's not the reason I stream. I put so much energy and effort into it because of the community that surrounds me. All the fun little moments that bring joy in life, and the friends that we meet along the way. Holy shit, y'all, we all have to take a trip to Flavortown today. God, it's a 1v1 against a baby. The baby is dead. John kills babies, okay? Bully me, please. No, I don't like this. I don't like this at all. Mother! I mean, like, I don't want to get into, like, the physics of shitting, but... Ah, fuck! Oh shit, butts. Okay, we're good. We're Gucci. It's fine. Don't even worry about it. 10 out of 10. I'm the best. Streamers are just rat tamers.
Whoa!
What the absolute fuck just happened here? I'm a good meme. I'd like to think I'm a potato and... Get out of my house! Jambo! Jambo! Hey, Mary Carey. Chat, more like Chad. Chad looking, or Chad. Chad looking mighty fucking mighty. Still not an acceptable use of the word bulging, by the way. What the absolute fuck are you all up to? What the absolute fuck are you all up to right now? Y'all come in here and you're like, oh yeah! Okay, I love you all. Bye, friends. My stream is a place I hope anyone can find a friend and feel welcomed. I hope this brought you as much joy as those moments did for me. Let's be honest, though. If you stuck around this far, I think we could be good friends. So try and stop on by twitch.tv/OhKay. Thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye.
Ten out of 10, flawless experience. Let me tell you.
So bad.
Every time that I feel like I've ever been over in the community, I always feel so welcomed. And you know, it's an echo of everything that we see. Like, you know, you could talk about anything, discuss anything, get into anything, and you know you're gonna have a good time because it's good people and a great creator building relationships. And I think that's what matters the most.
Yeah, I like it. I'm glad you feel that way.
I mean, that's what we discussed, right? I mean, it's not always the gameplay. People show up for, you know, the creators show up for the content, and I will say that there are definitely people that show up for the gameplay. You know, no one expects to go into, you know, Shroud's community and have a chat with him anymore. You know, you're showing up to watch him blap heads and play games and do whatever. Oh, Sammy's gonna leave me for you apparently, so that's good. We've been.
We can share. It's okay. I always tell people I play the game to entertain myself, not the stream. And that there's no bigger truth, honestly. So.
Awesome. Well, again, I appreciate you taking the time to stop on by and have a blast, and it's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, same. Thank you.
Okay, have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Yep. Thank you.
Guys, I just want to say it's been a wonderful day, and I'm so looking forward to more opportunities. Hopefully we can find someone else out there to interview and bring on. And if you guys have any ideas, if you guys have anyone that you're thinking like, hey, let's bring this person on, let's get another creator. If you want to hear some questions from me to them and ask them, I think it'd be phenomenal. I think it'd be great to continue this endeavor. You know, obviously we were spending a lot of time back in May and April talking with a lot of people, and we learned so much, so incredibly much with the diversity of creators that we have out there. We started to interact with some of the developers, you know, game developers that existed, what that process looks like, how hard it is to make a game, how involved you have to be with a community. And at the baseline of a lot of these interviews have been that centric focus around the relationships of individuals and how we build this inspiring view, this set of moments, these times that we share with people. Without people, you have nothing. Without people, there is no existence of these relationships, these streams, these communities. And it's that hard-working mentality, that hard focus of people like Kay that take the time offline and online to say like, hey, what can we do to help you out? You know, where can we go? How can we talk to walk you through a situation in life, or, you know, let's play some games and just relax, get away from the world. And I think we're starting to see more of that within Twitch, and the success of that within Twitch, and seeing these communities just rise up to create excellent environments of inspiration and love and care. And so again, if you guys have anyone, we'd love to see them. Anyone that you'd like us to interview, we'll end up posting this up on YouTube. I'll go through and make sure everything sounded okay. See if I have to improve any levels. And then you guys can go back and play through it. Extreme Tattoos, I know you said that you were interested in having your daughter watch this entire thing. Do not worry, it will be up. No, I can't interview myself. It would be weird. I would have to have like me on 2 screens calling myself from a secondary computer, and like on the second one, and I have to have like one of those face rigs so that way like I could be interviewing myself as a joke. And then, I mean, if Kay wants to interview me, then that's perfectly fine. You and people like Moo and OhKay make Twitch a better place. Thank you, Sammy. That's very, very kind of. I would very much agree with you. Kay does an exceptional job. Moo does an exceptional job. They're all really, really great people. Bring in someone to interview me. I've only ever done one interview in the past. It was pretty interesting. But I've had a second person interview me offline for something in relation to the company from DBD, but it was private. It was like, you know, off the book kind of a thing. And then I ended up, they said that I could post it to YouTube. But I'm more than happy to do an interview, Kay. If you want to set something up, you know how to get with me. I'll get a wig. Ryan, I appreciate it. But guys, feel free, hit me up in a message if you guys have any ideas, any other ideas. I'm always happy to explore anything. I know that we had talked about trying to get the guy from Obsidian Entertainment, who is their music lead, to come in and do an interview with us, so that way we could explore what that looks like and how we tell a story with musical notes, how we attach that to human emotions and share in moments of fear and excitement, elation, and anxiety, you know, stress, moments of duress, and how important that is at telling, you know, like a single player stories, tales, so that we feel like we're actually there. That's something I still want to explore, and I've got someone that I might reach out to see if I can get like an audio lead in, because I think that that's really, really cool how they do that. So we're going to explore that. We're going to explore some other opportunities. But guys, oh, that's right. I have to sing you a song. It's Noah's birthday. You tell me when. You tell me when, and I'll sing it. And I don't know how many other people out there can help me hype it up, but we need to see some hearts out there in chat. Noah is an absolute survivor. That kid has gone through so much. Open heart surgeries galore, and he is a more powerful individual than I think a lot of people out there aspire to be. And it's a really touching story. Not only from the perspective of Noah, but from the parents, Antoine and Talkative One. So, Noah. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Noah. Happy birthday to you. And many more. Noah is a king, 100%. Noah, you're a strong human being. And we all want to be just as strong as you. If we could only try that hard to do that. Don't give up. Never give up. Dude, the story, if anyone ever wants to hear the story, reach out. I'm well, Short Blocker. Reach out to Antoine or Talkative One through the Discord. It's phenomenal. Get to Kill. I removed it for the purpose of the interview. Just to make sure that we were doing everything correct and that we didn't have anything going on and that it didn't get in the way. I removed Dance today just so that way it didn't get in that way. It'll be back. But I didn't want people coming in here and smashing the button and then having that get in the way of the conversation because we have a person on, a guest on, and I didn't want to be rude. It is a feature of the community. It is a feature of the stream. But we wanted to do what we could. So I apologize. Guys, we definitely want to take the time. Thank you. I appreciate that. We definitely want to take the time. We're going to go bring all this love, all this blessing out to someone else out there in the world of Twitch, in the world of the community, and we're gonna blow up their day and make them feel loved and inspired to get what they need done. So let's see who's out here right now. I don't know. We might have a couple people. I thought I remember seeing something about a charity drive. So I want to take a peek. I think that was through this weekend. So I want to see who's out there. We might have someone on. Yeah, here's OhKay again for anyone who may not have been here or missed it. That's the link. Click on that. Drop a follow. Show some love. She's outstanding. You guys are going to love it. Absolutely love it. And I don't know if she's going to stream tonight. Kay, are you on tonight?